Hello, the students. My name is Mankeshwar Panigrahi. Today we are going to discuss about CPU scheduling criteria. So in our last class we have discussed about CPU scheduling. What are the different types of CPU schedulings are there, and why we are using the CPU scheduling mechanism, and what are the different types of CPU schedulings are there, how the processes are scheduled before going to start execution. So all these topics we have covered in our last session. Today we are going to discuss about a new topic related on CPU scheduling, that is your CPU scheduling criteria. So first we will go through some terminologies, those which are most important for CPU scheduling, or we are using these terms in our CPU scheduling algorithms related to the processes. They are burst time, arrival time, finishing time, what is multi-programming, what is the job, what is the user, what is the process, and what is CPU IO burst cycle. So first we have to go for burst time, or we can say it also execution time. So one process when entered into inside the computer system, it enters into the computer system, then it will goes for execution by the processor, and the total complete execution time, or how much time it will be required to execute one process, that time is called as the burst time or execution time for that process. So here it is given that it is a time required by the process to complete execution. It is also called as running time, because the execution is related with our running state. Next is arrival time. So when the process enters in a ready state, that is called arrival time. Okay. So what is the finish time? When a process complete and exit from a system or terminates from a system as a output after completion of its execution, it is called as the finish time. Next is what is multi-programming. When a number of programs are getting loaded inside the primary memory of our computer system, and that different types of processes or programs will be executed by a single processor, that is called as multi-programming. Because here we are not entering one program inside our computer system, we are entering multiple programs or processes for execution inside our computer system. Next, what is jobs? It is a type of program without any kind of user interaction. Next is user. What is user? It is a kind of a program having the user interaction. Next is process. It is the reference that is used for both job and user. Next is your CPU IO burst cycle. So it characterizes process execution which alternates between CPU and IO activity. CPU times are usually shorter than the time of input and out. So these are the important terminologies for CPU scheduling. What are they? Burst time, arrival time, finish time, multi-programming, jobs, users, processes, and CPU IO burst cycle. These are the most needed things that we are using in our CPU scheduling. Next is CPU scheduling criteria. So a scheduling algorithm tries to maximize and minimize the following. So always a CPU scheduling algorithm tries to utilize maximum CPU utilization and minimize the turnaround time, waiting time, as well as response times. So here in this diagram it shows that this scheduling criteria which depends on two factors. One is maximize and second one is minimize. So what is to maximize? CPU utilization is maximized and turnaround time, waiting time and response time will be minimized. This is the main aim of CPU scheduling criteria. So the total number of CPU utilization for a process is measured in terms of throughput. Okay. So this is the main aim of CPU scheduling criteria. Okay. So here it given that maximize related topics. First is CPU utilization. That means whenever we are entering a process or given a process for execution to a processor or CPU, the CPU will give its 100% effort to complete the execution of a process. Okay. So that is called as the CPU utilization. So it is given here that CPU utilization is the main task in which the operating system needs to make sure that CPU remains as busy as possible. It can range from 0 to 100%. However, for the real-time operating system, it can be ranged from 40% for low level and 90% for the high level system. So next is throughput. So the number of processes that finish their execution per unit time is known as the throughput. Or we can in other words we can say it that the total time taken for a process execution by a processor is measured in terms of throughput. Okay. So, when the CPU is busy executing the process, at that time work is being done and the work completed for unit time is called throughput. Next, we will discuss about the minimize related topics, that is your waiting time and response time as well as turnaround time. So what is waiting time, what is response time, and what is turnaround time? So waiting time is the amount of time that a process needs to wait in the ready queue. That is called the waiting time. Again, what is waiting time? The total amount of time that a specific process needs to wait in the ready queue. That is called as the waiting time. And what is response time? It is the amount of time in which the request was submitted until the first response is produced. That means when the processor or when the CPU will give first response to the process, that is called the response time. Next, what is turnaround time? It is an amount of time to execute a specific process. That means the total time taken to execute a specific process is called as the turnaround time. So it is the calculation of the total time spent waiting to get into the memory, waiting in the queue and executing on the CPU. The period between the time of process submission to the completion time is the turnaround time. That means whenever the process enters into the system and when the total process completion or execution will be completed, the total time duration is called as the turnaround time. Next, it is given that what is dispatcher. So dispatcher means jump from one location to another location. It is a module that provides control of the CPU to the process. The dispatcher should be fast so that it can run on every context switch. Dispatch latency is the amount of time needed by the CPU scheduler to stop one process and start another. Okay. So the functions performed by dispatcher are context switching, switching to user mode, moving the correct location in the newly loaded program. So about the context switching and switching to user mode and moving to the correct location in the newly loaded program, that is the main functions of dispatcher. Okay. So about the context switching we will discuss in our coming classes. Okay. So this is all about you related the topic with CPU scheduling criteria, So first, some important terminologies are there. That is your burst time, arrival time, finish time, and multi-programming. What is a job, what is a user, and what is process, and what is CPU IO burst cycle. Next is CPU scheduling criteria, and what are the different factors that are used in CPU scheduling criteria. One is maximize and the second one is minimize. So maximize is the CPU utilization and minimize the turnaround time, waiting time as well as response time. Okay. Next, what is CPU utilization and what is throughput and what is the waiting time? It is the amount of time that a process needs to wait in the ready queue. What is the response time? It is the amount of time in which the first request was submitted until the first response is produced. Next, what is turnaround time? It is an amount of time to execute a specific process. That means when the process enters into the system up to when the process executes or finishes or terminates from the system, the total time duration in between the entering a process and terminate a process is called as the turnaround time. And what is a dispatcher and what are the different functions performed by dispatcher. Okay. So these are the topics related with your CPU scheduling criteria. Thank you.